Welcome to the SoCal Ballet Scene podcast. Hi, we're back with the SoCal Ballet Scene podcast. I'm Rena Kamariotakis, and this is Tanya Durbin, and we're the directors of SoCal Ballet Scene. Welcome back.
Welcome back. The first question I think everyone is dying to know is, Rena, what made you decide on doing Don Quixote Act 1 in the festival? Because everyone enjoyed being casted in that. And what was your decision? Tell us your thought process in that.
Yeah, so after our first festival in 2022, it wasn't long after that, maybe a few months after that one had finished, I already knew that I wanted to do Don Quixote for the next festival. And so, but there was like a 2-year gap between the two shows. So actually, I had a lot of time to plan it out and think it through. But I knew for quite a while that Don Quixote was definitely something I wanted to do in the next festival. And I think just Don Quixote in particular, there's so much fire and energy, and I knew it would be an audience favorite, really entertaining. But also, I wanted to give the audience a taste of what it's like to see a full-length classical ballet, because the rest of the pieces in the ballet festival are shorter, taken out of context, or they're just abstract, neoclassical, contemporary, which is great. But I felt like the missing piece from the first festival was a story ballet. And especially people that are not used to seeing ballet, and maybe the ballet festival is the only time they've ever seen ballet before. Mm-hmm. I definitely wanted to make sure they got a taste of what that's like. So we presented a condensed version of Don Quixote Act 1. We didn't do the full Act 1 from like the original ballet. I took sections out, of course, and condensed it down to 30 minutes. Of course, then I also added a couple things in that aren't normally in Act 1. But yeah, I think I think the audience really enjoyed it.
They loved it. I mean, the audience went wild. How hard was it? Did you know who you wanted to cast right off the get-go? And how hard was it to find the different roles? So can you just share bit?
In our last episode, we did talk about Edward and Rachel. Edward, I knew, right? I knew probably a year before the show that he was going to be Basilio, because I had seen him dance that role. And then Rachel was a total surprise. She attended our audition, and she stood out in the audition. Her personality came through. And that's another thing.
Beautiful.
With the when we're selecting dancers, there's a lot of dancers that have, especially nowadays, super high extensions, great athletic, physical capabilities. But to carry something like Don Quixote, you have to have the acting chops and the artistry. And so that's really what we're looking for when we're looking to cast dancers, is who can keep the audience captivated for that long, right? So.
And you could see it in the audition, because I remember watching her, and every step that she was dancing, and just it was a natural. When you gave the variation for Kitri inside the audition, it just took to her, and it was really beautiful to see. So can we talk about Sancho Panza?
Yes, so that was actually a really difficult role to cast.
A lot of comedy in it.
Yeah, that Sancho Panza is the comedic character of the whole ballet. Basically, he's the comedic relief, and definitely needed somebody that could do a lot of acting with that one and was comfortable carrying the whole stage.
And we were searching, because I remember you asking me, and I was looking for some of the guys that I know that were actually attending Chapman University. So I was looking for some, kind of that had that acting ability. So we were searching and searching and searching. And then I got the call that you had found this character. You thought.
Yes. Well, yeah, I was searching around too, because so a lot of the professional male dancers, in the show were already cast in other things. Like we have the four toreadors so they're already toreadors. I'm not going to use them for Sancho Panza when I have them doing something else in the show. So in that particular ballet, and so I was actually looking for a recreational adult dancer who. They don't necessarily, Sancho Panza doesn't need to be like a professional ballet dancer technique wise, but somebody that has a broad dancing background with super great acting chops. So that's what I was looking for. And finally, I did find the right person, and that was Trevor. I found him through Jose Costas. So Jose Costas is a local choreographer, and he teaches in the colleges locally in the dance departments. And he would pop into my open class once in a while. And I told him I was looking for somebody for this role, and he had a student that he thought would be great. And so he brought his student to my open class. And then I loved Trevor. He was awesome. And so that's how it happened. And then I casted Trevor as Sancho Panza. And
he was perfect. There was this part where he had the baguette. And he was swinging this baguette around, and just, he was amazing. That was one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, I think he has a gymnastics background too, which was perfect because there's a part where the toreadors flip him over, and you want somebody that's comfortable with that and not going to be nervous about doing that.
Not all ballet dancers are comfortable with that, but he was fantastic.
Yeah, he did such a great, and I think all of the other corps de ballet in the cast had fun with that scene with them.
Yeah.
And by the way, we have the principal dancers in the cast, our professional dancers that played Kitri, Basilio, Espada, Mercedes, and Kitri's two friends. Those are the two soloist girls. Those were all local professional dancers. But then what we decided to do with the corps de ballet of Don Quixote was we decided to give this as a performance opportunity to adult recreational dancers in the community. And because
I love that.
Yeah. We part of the SoCal Ballet scene mission is to build community, and we do that through our open classes. And so we have open adult ballet classes, every week, and we've actually built up this great network of adult dancers that are there because they're just dedicated. They love the art form, but they never dance professionally. They're doing it later in their life. And actually, our entire board is all adult recreational dancers, basically. And so, but some of these dancers, they take class every single day. Some of these recreational dancers are in open class 5 to 7 days a week.
And they're strong. They're strong, and they're continuously improving. And they're serious. And it's so neat that they had the opportunity, that you gave them that opportunity. They got the feel of what it was like to be in a company. And now, I saw that just inspiration go into these dancers, and they were just pumped. And, the whole mission statement of SoCal Ballet, it was really neat to see that come alive in those rehearsals and in those classes. And that's why we love what we do.
Yeah. They work so hard in ballet class, these ladies, and they don't usually get a performance opportunity.
Yeah.
Not usually. And then I think also what was special about the way we did it is it's not like they were just in a recital with a bunch of other kids, right? They got to be in a professional production with professional dancers on stage in a beautiful, gorgeous theater, huge theater. Just the caliber of this opportunity for them, I think, was special.
And they got to take class, so when we had classes and we were rehearsing everyone, they were able to be in that environment. And that's something we touched on a little bit in the episode before. I love that usually these recreational dancers, they're always going and looking at performances. They're, you take class and then you're going and watching all these huge companies, and there's that like kind of yearning, like, oh, so now they have a platform, now they have a place to do that. Now it's like, they get that opportunity. So it's just so grand. So
Yeah.
yeah, I love that. One thing that I think some of our viewers are really wondering is, where did the costumes and the props and the backdrop, how was that worked out, and how did you do that?
Yeah. So the backdrop, we rented it from Long Beach Ballet, actually. So big shout out to Long Beach Ballet. Thank
you, David Wilcox. Thank you.
They provided us with the backdrop, which was gorgeous. By the way, that backdrop, because he uses that at the same theater, the Carpenter Center. That's actually why I reached out to Long Beach Ballet, because I know they perform at the same venue that we were at, and so I knew they would have a backdrop of the correct size. It's a really big stage with a huge stage, and so you need a big backdrop to fill it up, and I knew he would have the goods for that. So yeah, beautiful backdrop. I believe he said it's hand painted in China, so he specially commissions these hand painted backdrops, so that was great. And then some of our corps de ballet costumes were also rented from the Long Beach Ballet costume department. So yeah, that's where we got that from. Oh, by the way, that backdrop is so heavy. So I went to go, on tech load-in day at the theater. So it was the day before our tech dress rehearsal at the theater. When we're just, we're arriving at the theater to load in all the technical costumes and sets and props and everything. I went to Long Beach Ballet to pick up the backdrop. I just drive like a normal sedan, and this backdrop fit in my trunk. Because it's all rolled up in like a big duffel bag, but it was heavy. Like there was no way I could lift that by myself. It was so heavy. It took 2 or 3 of us to lift it into my car and lift it out.
It was beautiful.
Actually, David Wilcox himself helped put it in my trunk. But David, right? Didn't you dance with him?
I do. I love David. Hello. Hi, David Wilcox. I had the pleasure of dancing Sugar Plum Roll in Nutcracker for his company. So I did that twice. Just, he's wonderful to work with. So
yeah, he's such a sweet man. I mean, I only met him a couple of times, but he's just so sweet.
Yeah, really great family.
Yeah. So yeah, that's where we got the beautiful backdrop from and some of the costumes from. And then, so the costumes for the corps de ballet came from Long Beach Ballet. And then the costumes that the professional dancers, the principals were wearing, were hand created, custom made by Christine. Christine is
talented.
So Christine was one of the recreational adult dancers that was in our corps. But she is a talent. She has this talent for making ballet costumes. And when I found that out, I was like, okay, we need you.
It was so wonderful. It was so neat to see her fitting everybody in rehearsals, and just beautiful job, Christine. Wonderful.
And I gotta say, dancing in that it was so special to be dancing in a handmade, custom-made costume that was custom built just for us.
Yeah, that was beautiful. And that's you'll have to put a clip of you and the 3 girls in the photo.
Oh, that was the cover of our program.
Yes, and those were those costumes.
Yes.
So that was beautiful.
Yes.
It was Carly, you, and Rachel. So
yeah. Yeah, that was, and so, and Christine also made the Kismet costumes as well.
Oh, those were beautiful. I did not know that.
Yeah.
They were gorgeous. Wow.
Yeah, and then, so, I mean, her skills creating costumes, phenomenal. And then she also is very organized, because she organized all of the costume rentals that we had to, basically all of the pieces where we were rehearsing the dancers and setting the dancers ourselves. We had to manage all those costumes. And that's a lot of, there's a lot of dancers in the show. That's a lot of costumes to manage. She created spreadsheets, like managing like everybody's measurements, keeping track of all the different pieces of costume. She has a whole labeling system. So she's just super organized. Like she knew exactly where each piece of garment was coming from, whether it was being rented or it was handmade. And just, it was so nice to hand that off to her because I knew how much of a headache that part can be after doing it by myself in the first one. Well, my mother helped with, my mother's a seamstress and she helped with adjustments for costumes in the first festival, but just like trying to organize and keep track of the different costumes for different dancers, it's like a whole job by itself. So It was so nice to have Christine do that for us this time.
She was fabulous. She was so fantastic. She was day of the show. Just remember her coming in all the dressing rooms, checking, everything and making sure.
Yes, because the backstage at the Carpenter Center is 3 floors of dressing rooms. I think we had 8 or 9 different dressing rooms going on across 3 floors. She hand delivered the costumes for inside each dressing room. Like she figured out which dancer was in which dressing room, and she like put the costumes in each room ahead of time. Incredible. She was super on top of it.
Yeah, she was incredible.
So shout out to Christine.
Yeah, thank you, Christine. What did you think about how hard was it to cast the Toreadors? And what were you thinking in that process? And the capes. They're the 4 gentlemen that are behind Alexander.
Yes.
Dancing with the capes. And that was really fun actually when we were in rehearsal. So tell us about
Well, I mean, I think most people in the ballet world know it's easier to find women than it is to find men.
Yes.
So I basically had to reach out to every professional male dancer I knew who was available to dance in the show and be like, you're a Toreador, basically. But they actually looked really great together.
They really
did.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, they were really neat. It was fun to rehearse them because I had the opportunity to be with the gentlemen, and working with them in rehearsals was just an amazing experience. They learned so fast, these guys. So shout out to all the men.
Oh, okay. So these guys, actually pretty much every single one of them was in 4 different pieces in our festival, right? So that's 4 different roles they had to learn. And then on top of that, they're doing other gigs and other shows too that they're rehearsing that are like around the same time period. So like I think Damien was in like a show every weekend for like 2 months straight. And he had to learn like so many different roles all at once. So they get really used to picking up choreography really fast.
Yeah.
Because they're constantly having to do different jobs, performance jobs.
And they were wonderful to work with. So shout out to Damien and to Braden
and Chris
and
Jet.
And it was so neat also during the rehearsals, we would be going, Rena and I would be going into all the different rooms that we had talked about before in the episode, and it was really neat to see them switch roles. Like you said, they would be in Kismet, and then they would be rehearsing Don Quixote, and it was so neat to see the switch and to see their artistry come through. And in this process, also just seeing the growth that happened so rapid. From day 1 of rehearsals until we opened the show, you really saw a huge jump. I noticed with them. So just having all of that talent in the room all at once.
And you were with them in day 1 because basically day 1 of them learning the Toreador section, you were basically running the rehearsal and teaching it to them. So what was that like?
Oh, that was, well, Rena said, you're teaching rehearsal. And I said, okay. So I learned it really fast and taught it to them. And it was really neat to be in there. And because there's a Spanish, flair in this particular piece, this Don Quixote, I have a little bit of a ballroom background. So it was fun to bring that Latin flair in there. So, for me, it was really fun, and I love all the fiery ballets. I love the classics as well, but I loved working with them and just, it was fun. It was just, it went by so fast, and they were a pleasure to work with. They were very professional, and loved working with you and your partner as well, so that was fun to do a little bit of coaching, and working with Rachel and Edward, and coaching the principals kind of behind the scenes, just being that extra eye. That was just, they're so brilliant anyway, so just to be in the room and to witness them at their craft at their best was truly an honor. So
yeah, and Tanya is so good at getting into nitty-gritty details with coaching. I know because I take Latin ballroom with you, and she gets so deep into the technique. It's awesome. But I knew she would be great to coach these dancers, because she can go, like you were coaching also the understudies for Chai Pa, and you were coaching for swing time, there were certain rehearsals that Sadie wasn't able to be there in the studio, and you would just clean it up. And I think Sadie mentioned that she was like, oh, I trust Tanya with this.
They used to call me the cleaner, which is kind of like but I really love, it's probably, besides teaching, I don't know, it's like my, I love it so much. I love the process of being in the studio with a couple, and just cleaning and getting a transition right. And it's my favorite thing to do. Probably, I love to perform, but I think coaching and cleaning, that is probably my fave. So it's just, like I said, it's a blessing. It's an honor. I love it. I can't get enough of it.
What is it about it that you like so much?
I think I like seeing, I really like seeing a dancer get a breakthrough, because sometimes there's a blockage mentally also. It could be from a past coach, or it could be a mindset that they have, that they don't believe that they can do it, or they get a challenging step and they hesitate because there's uncertainty there. And for me, I love to pick up on that. I usually am very sensitive to pick up on things like that with people, and I don't only look for a breakthrough technically, but I also look through a breakthrough for them personally, and how it carries on in their personal, where does that come from, and then how can we work that out so that you can be successful and keep that going. And so for me, changing a dancer's life in that way, bringing the good, bringing the best out in them, for me, I feel like it's kind of my call in life to do, to build people up, and to get them to believe in themselves. And so that is why I love it.
Wow.
So
that's amazing.
That's why I love it. So
did you work with Carly and Stella at all?
I did. They were fantastic. And they reminded me of like two twins, because they were fantastic. These were Keetre's friends. How did you pick them?
Okay, so I had known both of them for a few years beforehand. And so part of it is, I've seen them in class so many times that I knew what they were capable of. Sometimes it's hard in an audition if I'm only seeing you, this is my first time seeing you ever. I haven't really seen fully what you can do. So it's easier for me when I can see somebody class after class after class, and I know exactly what they, can do. And so I had seen them a lot, and I knew that they would be great together, because those two dancers in particular have so much charisma when they're dancing. And for Don Quixote, you have to have the charisma. You cannot, it's not just about the technique. You have to bring the presence. You have to be on. Yes. You have to have, the whole audience needs to be like laser. Whoa, look at that girl. You have to take up the whole stage. And both of them can do that. So that's why I casted them in that.
They were fantastic. It was like double the energy. It was like, and what I loved about working with them too is that they are incredible to work with. They are beautiful girls, and they were just like, let's try this. Okay, let's do it again. Okay, they were just like incredible team players, and like you said, I just thought this is easy for me to just walk into this rehearsal and I get to just enjoy them dancing.
And those particular Kitri's friends, they have a lot of dancing to do.
They do.
They probably do some of the most. I mean, Kitri does a lot of dancing, and then after that, those two probably do the most dancing out of everybody.
And they have that little section with Basilio.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's probably like 4 or 5 different serious dancing segments that they do. So you have to have a lot of stamina, and they definitely built up their stamina over the summer. Yeah. I could see, like, you know, from the beginning. I mean, me too. When I started rehearsing, it's like we all start with our stamina level, and then gradually, as rehearsals, progress through the summer, our stamina gets higher and higher, and we can get through more and more of the choreography in rehearsals. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they're fantastic.
But yeah, if there's any dancers watching this, for me personally, when I'm selecting dancers, the artistry is the most important thing for me. Because that's what the audience really gravitates towards. And so those two had a tremendous amount of artistry. So that's why I selected them.
Yeah, they were fantastic. And if you are in the area, please come to take class with SoCal Ballet Scene, because we would love to meet you. And, you know, we're thinking about who we're casting this season. And
yeah, and like I said before, it helps when we can see you in class multiple times so that we can really get to know you.
Building that relationship,
building the relationships, also seeing more of your dancing and what your dancing can do. And also, it is important to see what it's like to work with you in the studio, right?
Yeah.
So,
that's a huge part of it too, you know, and I think sometimes, and let your personality come through, because we want to see that. I think a lot of times dancers are a little bit, they go introverted a little bit, and sometimes that's hard to read, but feel comfort, like when you're with SoCal Ballet, I mean, you should just feel comfortable and feel free to be yourself. And, you know, because we really cherish and treasure that.
Yes.
And we see that in dancers.
Yes, absolutely. And also it's good practice for when you are on stage. I don't believe that if you just are going through class like with no emotion or artistry that you're going to be able to pull it out on stage. Like, you have to practice it in the studio.
Absolutely. So. It's not just gonna like
right,
exactly. It's like a switch.
Yeah.
If you've been dancing like gazillion, you know, a long time, then some people could do that. But you're still having to, you know, kind of, even the pros, I mean, we're always, you know, finessing it, reinventing it.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. Well, thanks for joining us. And up next, we're going to be interviewing one of the recreational dancers that was in the core of Don Quixote this year, Alina Chen. And so we look forward to bringing you that interview coming up in our next episode.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.